Sonic Adventure is the first game on this show that utterly broke me. This may look like a normal video to you at first, and that's because this game's true horrors only hit you when you least expect them. Watch your back, dear viewer, lest the face of my everlasting nightmares haunt you to sleep this night. Today, I'm getting every achievement in the Dreamcast version of Sonic Adventure, which is a task that's only made possible using the RetroAchievements website. On screen now are the 100 different achievements for me to get, and since I'm writing this part of the script before actually streaming the challenge, I can tell you that these achievements don't look too bad. Most of these achievements are ones I'm gonna get just from 100%ing the game, and while there are 2 missable achievements, one of them can be gotten within the first 20 minutes of playing, and the other is only missable due to a bug in the code that I hope I can circumvent. The Chao achievements are probably going to be the most time consuming since I've never really played Sonic Adventure on the Dreamcast, and so the differences in how the Chao system works are likely going to trip me up at least once. But how will this prediction hold up? Which achievements will be easier than I thought, and which will make me consider a different hobby? Let's start from the top, shall we? Well, starting from the top would be pretty simple, but guess which dumbass forgot to press record for the entire first stream? So now I have to use downloaded stream footage that looks like it's coming in through a potato at some parts. Sorry about that. On the bright side, at least for me, not much of note really happened on the first stream. As I said in the intro, a good portion of the achievements in this set are ones that you would come across normally when going for 100%. This includes a total of 11 achievements that you get for simply beating a level for the first time, 10 of which I'm gonna knock out with Sonic. In addition, there are also achievements that you get simply by progressing in a character's story, so that's even more than I'm able to add to the total, but I'll list all of the easy achievements in just a moment. 2 of the achievements I ended up getting were a tiny bit out of the way, starting with You Underestimated My Speed, which requires you to beat the first section of Emerald Coast without using springs. This is done with a simple spin dash jump up this pier at the start, then using a couple careful spin dashes to run up this wall at the end. These 2 techniques dodge the only springs you'll need to worry about and bag you the achievement. Next is the What a Cool Accessory achievement, asking you to get the crystal ring before getting the Lightspeed shoes. Charge a spin dash in the corner here and make sure you hit the first button here before jumping. Then as the camera changes, aim your control stick down left and homing attack, which will hopefully get you in the door. Pretty simple once you know how to do it, but learning the jump can be a little tricky. Other than those 2 achievements, and alongside the other achievements I ended up getting just by finishing Sonic's story, I also took the time to collect some adventure field emblems as Sonic. While this is required for 100%, this will also get me an achievement later, so the sooner I get everything I need, the better. With all this being said, over the course of the playthrough, I end up getting He Can't Be Invincible, Can He? Here I Come, Sonic. Whatever you say, Eggman. The Wind in My Hair. The House Always Wins. Deep in the Ice. Okay, let's go. I owe so much to Sonic. It's my turn now. Cute couples enter for free. Living in the city. It doesn't matter for getting all of Sonic's upgrades. E104 Epsilon. Rescue complete. Coming in tight. Oh wow, that's quite the achievement name. Is that it? Preparation complete. Hold on, Froggy, I'm coming. And where am I? I did also get an achievement for beating Final Egg for the first time, but not before wasting a half hour trying to do something really stupid. You see, years ago, long before I was even remotely known online, I used to try speedrunning specifically the DX version of Sonic Adventure. Thus, since I was very acquainted with a lot of DX's glitches, I was eager to try and experience some Dreamcast exclusive jank. In specifically this version of Sonic Adventure, there's a random capsule floating above the first section of Final Egg, which will let you completely skip the level if you're able to hit it. What followed was me annoying my friends and viewers for a while before I finally was able to pull it off. Charge up a Lightspeed dash, but don't release it yet. Run up the slope a little bit, then use your second spin dash button to charge up, then release and jump up above the ceiling. Aim to the left as you jump up, homing attack, then release the Lightspeed dash to launch towards the capsule. This gets me the place I was created in arguably the coolest way possible. Then I simply beat the Egg Viper to get the I'll play with you some other time achievement for beating Sonic's story. After the credits, I make a quick detour into the adventure field to grab a couple more achievements. Station Square and Mystic Ruins each have a single exclusive Chao egg for me to grab. Why do I suddenly feel an immense amount of dread? It's probably nothing. Anyway, by appropriating the gold Chao egg in Station Square and bringing it to the Chao Garden, I get...
No one will ever know!
And then, by grabbing the silver Chao egg in the Mystic Ruins, I get Mystic Chao. The last thing I did for this stream was go into Sonic Adventure's Trial Mode, which allows you to replay every level for each character and take on each level's B and A missions. These are 2 different objectives you can complete, which must be done one at a time, and each give you an emblem for completing them. For Sonic, all of his B missions require you to reach the end of the level with at least 50 rings, which is laughably easy. And his A missions require you to reach the end under a certain time, which is also laughably easy since I used to speedrun this game. For completing all of Sonic's missions, I get 10 more achievements, including What a Nice Breeze, Wow, it's pretty high up, Pinball, Man, Everything is Frozen, I'm not too fond of places like this, Time for some supersonic speed, That lava looks really hot, I sure don't want to fall off from here, Wow, what is this, and Just You Wait, Robotnik. This ends my first day of streaming with 34 out of the 100 achievements. Not bad at all. And while you may think that's where this section ends, it's actually time to awkwardly jump ahead 10 hours because I didn't do the extra Sonic achievements immediately for some reason, and I want this video to not be just 30 minutes of talking about how much fun playing the game normally is. For pretty much all of Sonic's extra achievements, it's time for our old friend, the 1-Up achievement. Unfortunately, the guides for Sonic Adventure's 1-Up achievements aren't quite as detailed as the ones for Sonic Heroes, but I know Sonic Adventure well enough to where I only really needed help on a couple of the 1-Ups. The 1-Up achievements in particular are also really lenient in the sense that you don't need to get every single 1-Up in a level to get the achievement, since lives gotten from getting 100 rings also count. Case in point, I missed these 2 1-Ups by complete accident, but since I got 2 extra lives from getting rings, I could simply grab this one in the last section to nab the achievement. It's pretty considerate of the devs to do this because as much as I loved Sonic Heroes achievements, having to get every single 1-Up without missing a single one could get a bit annoying at times. Next is the second and last 1-Up achievement that's a scavenger hunt. Yeah, there's only 2 in this game, and they're both really generous. 200 rings and 6 1-Up boxes later, the locations of which are right here, and the achievement is done. That's not to say there aren't any more 1-Up related achievements though. In fact, this achievement requires you to find the secret room in Final Egg and break all the capsules in it. It also has this achievement name, which is unbelievably accurate. The secret room isn't until the second to last room in the level, and then when you get there, you get hit with this platform, which you have to wait for so you can ride it. This is me fast forwarding the game to about 4 times speed, and this is me now speeding up the footage a little more in my video editor. Notice how almost 2 minutes have passed and the platform still hasn't reached me. Why the devs over at Sonic Team thought that this was an acceptable speed to move at, before then deciding to put these spike balls on the ladder to add the possibility of you getting hit and falling, making you have to wait more.
You're an evil son of a bitch.
Oh well, at least it made the achievement name funnier.
Move faster, platform!
They know! That's so funny!
This is the best achievement on the site.
That's it! That's peak!
This is the best achievement name on this website, and I will not be accepting any counter-arguments. With that, Sonic's section is finished, and we can now finally move on to Tail Big the Cat. Now, you might be asking, why the fuck am I doing Big the Cat first? Well, firstly, do I need a reason to want to experience perfection? And secondly, the achievement for getting all of Big's upgrades is the last missable achievement in the game because Big's upgrades are bugged. Yes, I'm serious. Supposedly, due to a programming error, this lore upgrade in Station Square will straight up disappear and be unobtainable if you don't get it before the end of Big's story. Thus, because this is in fact a Sonic game, I chose to get this now just in case something bugs out. That way I can know early and minimize the amount of game I'll need to replay. So off I went on my fishing journey, the mechanics of which work completely flawlessly with no problems whatsoever.
What?
And so it began.
Okay.
If you think that's bad though, sometimes even walking can be a problem for Big.
I love this water.
But despite all this, I was able to get all of Big's upgrades and even a random adventure field emblem that I missed as Sonic. Getting all the upgrades nets me the Lazy Days Living in Paradise achievement, which puts the threat of needing to start a new save file behind me. Or at least, that's what I thought at the time. But that's a problem for future me to sort out. For now, once I make it onto the egg carrier, I enter this jail cell room and grab the last Chao egg from the adventure field, nabbing the cooler looking Easter egg for my trouble. After that, I enter a brand new level that Sonic never actually plays, Hot Shelter. Beating this level gets me the We're Together Again at Last achievement. After fishing Froggy out from Chaos 6, who I guess then just decides not to retaliate against the person that stuck a fucking fishing rod inside them, Big is able to escape and I get the Here Froggy achievement for beating Big's story. After that, I'm now able to take on Big's extra missions. Big's B missions require you to catch a 1,000 gram fish, and Big's A missions require you to catch the dreaded 2,000 gram fish. Okay, are you ready for the pain? Wait, I can't use this music. It's probably some kind of licensed copyrighted thing. Oh well, I've got something a little more fitting anyway. Catching a 2,000 gram fish is perhaps one of the most aggravating and painful things you will ever do in a Sonic game, and that means a hell of a lot coming from me. Firstly, here's something the game doesn't tell you. 2,000 gram fish won't even spawn until you get all of Big's lore upgrades, so you could potentially spend hours catching fish after fish without knowing that A, they aren't spawning, and B, you need something specific for them to spawn. So after you jump that hurdle, you'd expect it to get easier from there, right?
No.
Sometimes a 2,000 gram fish will still refuse to spawn because the game hates you. And even if you manage to somehow find and hook a 2,000 gram fish, the mechanics to how catching a fish works are so blatantly against you and artificially difficult that it's laughable. Firstly, let's say you find a big fish and hook it pretty close to Big in order to catch it quicker. Well, fuck you, says the video game, because it will then actively take control away from you in order to let the fish swim 15,000 miles away from Big. And you might think that doesn't sound so bad, since they probably do that in order to make the mission more challenging. But trust me, catching one of these motherfuckers is bullshit enough that they do not need to do this. This is some sped up footage of what your average experience reeling in a 2,000 gram fish is like. And while I let this play for a bit, here's a rundown on how reeling works. This meter to the right is the pressure that's being put on your fishing rod, and by holding either the X button for a slow reel or the A button for a fast reel, this meter will fill depending on how much the fish pulls. If this meter fills up completely, Big's line will snap, which is apparently traumatizing enough to make him lose a life somehow. There are two main problems with this system. Firstly, 2,000 gram fish were programmed to be so unbelievably strong that the line can break super quickly if you aren't ultra precise with how you reel your line in. And secondly, if we focus back on the footage I've been showing you, notice how almost 3 fucking minutes have passed, and I don't think I've even gotten it closer than 20 meters away from Big. This is about how your average fishing experience is gonna go when you're wrangling a 2,000 gram fish. Between the 2,000 gram fish not even being guaranteed to spawn anywhere even with all the lore upgrades, the game arbitrarily stopping you from reeling in a big fish to make things unfairly difficult, the general agony of taking 5 unbearable minutes to slowly reel in the stupid fish, the fact that at any time the fish can activate its latent cutscene powers and just effortlessly swim another 10 meters away from you, and the realization that if it uses those powers to swim too far away, which it can do easily, might I reiterate, the minigame will unceremoniously end with an additional chance for the fish to completely despawn, forcing you to have to find another fish that could also just decide not to spawn.
Why do I love you? Yeah, pay for your crimes.
I spent almost 2 hours completing all of these missions. And you want to know what the worst part is? While I was trying to complete Hot Shelter's missions, my computer fucking blue screened on me. So while I was able to keep the footage because of an OBS setting I had turned on, if any parts of the footage looked strange in any way, that's probably why. You can bet your ass that by the time I was finished with all these missions, I was eager to move on to the next character. Anyway, here's me 6.5 hours later going for the time to make some exercises achievement, which needs you to collect at least 127 rings and Hot Shelter is big. This is basically every ring in the level, although you have some leeway depending on how many rings you get from this ring roulette monitor. I, of course, only got 1 ring from it though, because I can't catch a break. In order to enter the main ring heavy part of the level, enter this passage after the water level raises, follow it to the end, and use your fishing rod to pull the plug on the drain down here. Then go back to the main area and enter this newly opened area to reach a big room with a ton of rings. Be sure to grab them all and you'll easily get the achievement and earn the privilege to move on from this terrible, terrible part of the game. Compared to the hell I just went through, going through basically a shortened version of Sonic's story by playing as Tails sounds downright therapeutic. In terms of achievements, Tails has quite possibly the lowest amount out of any of the stories. Aside from getting this out of the way upgrade, and also getting this adventure field emblem to contribute to that achievement, all I had to do was beat Sand Hill to get
I thought I was in a desert.
Then after getting the last upgrade, I get Believe in Myself for getting all of Tails' upgrades. From there, beating his story nets me this achievement, and just like that, we're already in trial mode. Tails has really lenient B and A missions compared to the other characters. His B missions ask you to get 50 rings, which as said before, is pretty easy. And his A missions have you beat a quote, even faster Sonic, which is probably one of the most bullshit things I've ever heard in my life, as this loser is beyond pathetic. Aside from almost having a terrible accident at the mountain in Ice Cap.
See you later, Tails.
What?
What happened? Tails! What
was that?
This was predictably not even remotely difficult, as I very quickly mop up not only all of the achievements tied to these missions, but I also get this bonus achievement that requires you to beat Speed Highway in under 1 minute and 30 seconds without collecting rings. For those of you that are struggling to beat this, take this route that I'm showing you on screen to completely skip the first half of Speed Highway. This should give you the ability to win without much trouble if you practice the rest of the level enough. This also happens to be Tails' only extra achievement, so cool. Guess it's time to move on. Amy's story is up next, and unfortunately she's the star of some of the more annoying achievements I'll have to do. For instance, My Sweet Passion, the achievement for getting all of her upgrades, isn't obtainable until after completing her story, so I end up waiting to get this until after all of the main stories are completed. Other than this though, the only achievement of note that I get while playing through her story is the Soldier Rose achievement for hiding in this oil drum in Final Egg. It really says something that this mechanic is so underutilized in game that even daring to try it is an achievement. Not long after, I beat Amy's story to get the ba-ba-ba-ya-ba-ya achievement. Yes, I said it wrong on purpose. And you know what? Fuck it. This video is structured poorly enough as it is. Why not let past me just skip doing Amy's extra missions, and also let present me skip explaining her one really annoying achievement for now and go right to Gamma's story instead? I joke about that, but I did this for a reason. When I was streaming Sonic Adventure, there were some people in the voice call with me that had never seen the game before, and I really wanted to show them Gamma's story since it stands as one of my favorite stories this franchise has ever told. So really, I only played Amy's story to give some additional context for Gamma, so that's why I kinda jumped straight there. For the sake of not bloating the video, I won't go into detail with that, as all I really did was play through the story normally and get all Gamma's upgrades, earning these 4 achievements in the process. Afterwards, I then went into completing both Amy and Gamma's extra missions. Amy's B and A missions are identical to Sonic's, getting 50 rings and reaching the goal under a time limit respectively. This went pretty well in Twinkle Park, but then when it came time for Hot Shelter, Zero started acting weird. Amy then thought that this was an appropriate punishment for such debauchery.
What?
Where did he go? I see.
I killed him! He's dead! Yay!
John, you're gonna have to put that in the video.
That let me easily clear all of Hot Shelter's missions. But then Zero returned in Final Egg and thought that this would be a fine thing to do.
Ow. Oh my god! What the fuck?
After Amy wipes that from her brain and finishes the last extra missions for the "Oh, not you again" achievement, it's time for Gamma's extra missions, which aren't really noteworthy, unfortunately. His B missions are another collect 50 rings affair, while his A missions ask you to reach the goal with the timer above a certain amount. This is easily attainable as long as you lock onto and destroy a bunch of enemies at one time throughout the level, as this will give you more time the more you're able to destroy at once. This gives me the 5 achievements tied to beating Gamma's extra missions, and only leaves me with 1 story left to beat. And this one definitely ended up being the most eventful. For better, but also for far, far worse. Knuckles' story started off fairly well, all things considered. After progressing in the story enough to beat Chaos 2 and get the "Changing Shape Won't Scare Me" achievement, I'm able to reach the Angel Island section of the map and glide out to the middle of this pit here to grab another Adventure Field emblem. Then, once I'm back in Station Square with the shovel claws, I can dig in this specific spot to get the last Adventure Field emblem, and finally obtain the "I Am a Burger Man" achievement. After progressing a little more, I get Knuckles' final upgrade in the jungle for this achievement, and then do something pretty cool in Lost World. Instead of collecting the Master Emerald shards like normal, if you glide against this door, pause, then unpause, Knuckles will sometimes just clip straight through it. This lets Knuckles enter Sonic's last part of Lost World, hit the capsule, and beat the level. This glitch will cause me untold amounts of grief and sorrow in just a moment. Heed my advice, and please don't do this. Past this point, I progress all the way to Knuckles' fight against Chaos 6, which has an achievement for beating it in under 40 seconds. This is really trivial as long as you got Knuckles' fighting gloves, as using the maximum heat Knuckles attack will make the fight last for 2 hits rather than 4. With that, I not only get the "This Time You're Finished" achievement, as well as the "I'm at Peace Once More" achievement for beating Knuckles' story, but with the 6 main stories completed, I also get "Only Together We Can Defeat Chaos." After the credits roll, you know the drill by now, time for extra missions. Knuckles' B missions require you to get the Emerald Shards without using to call to show you where they are, and his A missions require you to get the Emerald Shards in under a minute. With how small these stages are and how versatile the radar is compared to Sonic Adventure 2, seriously, they butchered the radar in that game, this should be fairly easy. But if you want a trick to make the A mission in particular easier, if you have enough lives, restarting a mission doesn't actually reset where the locations of the Emerald Shards are. So in theory, you can take some time to find a piece, restart, then quickly go to that piece's location and repeat. With these strategies in mind, I was quickly able to mop up the extra mission achievements for the first 3 stages. Then, when it came time for Lost World, I unknowingly fucked up big time. Remember back in the main story when I did that glitch to skip getting the Master Emerald pieces? I did that again for both of Lost World's extra missions. This turned out to be a horrible, horrible mistake, because despite getting both emblems no problem, the achievement for getting all of the emblems in Lost World didn't trigger. I then went back and beat the level normally just in case that happened to trigger it, but no dice. Because I didn't beat the level in the exact way the developers intended, I am now locked out of this achievement entirely unless I start a brand new save file. Dropping the jokes for a second, this was utterly soul-crushing. I can see an argument being made for how I deserved this. I mean, I beat the level in a way that wasn't intended, but in a way, I still did complete the objective of the achievement. It more so feels like I did it in a way that the creator of the set didn't account for. Or at least, I thought that was the case. But after submitting a ticket on this achievement to try and get this fixed, it was almost instantly closed, citing a part of the guidelines saying that a dev's achievements can disallow glitches through their programming. After a kinda technical conversation with someone on my member Discord who's a RetroAchievements addict, shoutouts to her, we're assuming that this achievement has a sort of glitch protection that makes the achievement not trigger if you aren't in the specific section where the Master Emerald shards are. Hey, me with a hopefully fixed microphone now to tell you that I'm cutting the rest of that part out. It kind of got a little whiny and a little bit confrontational. I don't want to be the one to start that kind of drama, so I did a glitch, it didn't work, it broke the achievement, whatever, my fault. Not a lot of people are gonna do that glitch, so it's really just my fault. I'm just gonna own up to that. Now hopefully the video's pacing isn't too fucked up now that I cut 2 minutes of bitching out. Guess we'll see, huh? Oh, by the way, almost immediately after finding this out, my computer blue screened again during the very next stage. Suffice to say, I was not feeling very good about things at that moment in time. However, despite everything, I ended up booting the stream up again and got back to work, quickly claiming the last extra mission achievement for Knuckles, and also getting an amazing adventurer for getting all of the emblems in the action stages. Now, it's time to go back to the adventure field to do a little bit of cleanup. As either Tails, Knuckles, or Gamma, you can pick up this ID card to the left of the Speed Highway entrance to enter the Twinkle Park lobby. Then, by using the card to get into Twinkle Circuit, I get the Bumper Car Area Confirmed achievement. There's also an achievement here for beating Twinkle Circuit for the first time, but something important to note is that it's best if you intentionally do badly on your first run through Twinkle Circuit, as it'll make getting a future emblem a lot easier. With this in mind, I go slowly around the course before eventually finishing and getting as fast as light. No, I certainly wasn't. Stepping back into Amy's story next, I head back to the egg carrier and subject myself to another few rounds of Hedgehog Hammer. First up, I have to get at least 3,000 points in order to finally get Amy's last upgrade and get the My Sweet Passion achievement. Then I go for the Whack-a-Hog achievement, which requires me to get at least 3,500 points. This is kind of difficult because the way this achievement is programmed feels so unbelievably random. Sometimes I'd get enough Supersonics worth 500 points each to get the points I needed, while sometimes they'd show up for literally 11 frames, making them impossible to hit. Granted, it ended up only taking a few minutes, but it had the potential to take like 30, and that's abhorrent. Up next was getting all of the extra achievements for the other characters. Climbing the clock tower asks you to find the hidden 1-up in Casinopolis as Knuckles. This is found by dropping through this chute at the top and then gliding over here. It can be a pain to get to, but otherwise not really that hard. Hammerfall asks you to beat Amy's Twinkle Park without pressing A more than 3 times, which is really annoying to do since some parts can be really janky. To sum this up, the first part can be done without pressing A, so just run around and hit all the switches. In the second section past the first mirror hallway, this is the first precise maneuver you'll need to do. Pick up some speed, then fall off this platform onto the last stair before quickly hammer jumping past. This has the potential to fail spectacularly, upon which you'll just want to restart. The reason being, upon reaching the third mirror room, this big one here, you're likely going to have to spend all 3 of your jumps. Gather up some speed, then hammer jump up to this stair here. If you're precise enough, you could reach the top, but that's really difficult and also entirely unnecessary. So instead, just land here and use your 3 jumps as shown to reach the top. From there, you should be able to make it to the balloon without jumping as long as you're really careful. One well-placed hammer jump here and you'll reach the balloon and get your achievement. Last up for character achievements is Battery Fully Charged, in which you need to finish Hot Shelter as Gamma with at least 4 minutes left. For this, most of the stage doesn't actually matter, though any extra time will obviously help. What does matter is this part after the train section. During the drop here, you'll want to hover down slowly and combo as many of these monkey robots as possible, finishing with these last ones at the bottom. If you do it right, Gamma should have well over 30 seconds to then beat the boss, and considering you don't horribly screw up from there, that should be plenty of time to win and get the achievement. With those done, the rest of the stream was dedicated towards starting the hunt for the minigame emblems, as well as beating boss rush mode. For the minigames, I decided to knock out the most annoying one first, that being more fucking Hedgehog Hammer. Thankfully, the 3,500 score from earlier doesn't seem to apply to the minigame, which is great because getting the emblem simply requires you to beat the initial high score from your main story playthrough for the first, then beat whatever score you just set for the second. Once again, it's pretty annoying, but I set my first high score at 2,700 for the first emblem, then set a second high score of 3,300 for the second emblem, netting me the Whack-a-Sonic achievement. Then I spent the next 20 minutes going through each character's bosses in the boss rush mode, which while it doesn't get me any emblems, it gets me the return of the big losers, which is arguably much more valuable. With that, the stream was done for today. But before I started up my stream again the next day, I decided to fire up a recording session of me starting up a new file and getting the one Knuckles extra mission achievement I missed. Some pretty wacky shit happened during those 40 minutes, so here are some highlights. Okay, that was very strange. Whoa.
Hi, Sonic. I'm glad it took those rings from me. I was very scared. What the hell? I swear to God, I find new jank in this game, no matter what version I play. Sonic was just floating there. I don't know if you noticed. Hey, now I have an excuse to actually fully show off my cool, epic ice cap speedrun that I will not screw up even a little bit. So this first jump here skips this first section entirely, don't worry about it. And then this second jump here, I didn't mean to. This second jump here, there's an invisible wall here. If we go around it and jump here, it may take me a few tries. I'm surprised I got it on my first try when I was doing this on stream. There we go. And then in DX, you can just clip out of here and fall, but I don't think it's in the Dreamcast version, so... Finally, our main man. Alright, it's time for Lost World. I hope it unlocks immediately in trial mode, and I don't have to play another stage after it just to unlock it in trial mode.
Found it. Okay, let's go.
So
It is. Okay.
Let's found it. Good enough. Let's found it.
That should do it.
Good
This
enough.
place gives me the strangest feeling.
So, after going through all that just for one measly achievement, I booted up the actual stream for the day and played some more minigames in order to get the Daily Distractions achievement. First up are the 2 Sky Chase levels. You get the first emblem for each of these just by playing it in story mode, but for the second emblem you need to get at least 8,000 points in Act 1 and 20,000 points in Act 2. The key to achieving this is pretty similar to Gamma's stages. You need to lock onto as many targets as possible before releasing your shot, as each enemy you shoot down per lock-on will increase the amount of points you get exponentially. Destroy enough enemies in a couple short bursts, and you can get a few thousand points in the course of a couple seconds, easily smashing the point total you need if you play correctly. Act 2 is arguably even easier than Act 1 because not only are there more enemies to combo together, but beating the last boss gives you an instant 5,000 points, with the projectiles he shoots also giving you a lot of points. So this should be no problem whatsoever. Next up is Sand Hill, the first emblem of which is also gotten in story mode. The second emblem requires you to beat the stage with 10,000 points or higher. However, since reaching the end of the level awards you with 5,000 points, you only need 5,000 points by the end. But this can still be a bit difficult since getting that high of a score requires you to constantly go through these gates to build up a sizable score multiplier. That's easier said than done since the terrain is constantly working against you.
Yeah! Hey guys, welcome to my supersonic vlog. Today, I'm on the hills. Whee!
I'm so cool, I could do this backwards.
This is the route I eventually used in order to get the emblem. This is incredibly overkill, so even if you mess it up when your combo gets near 30, you should still get the points you need depending on how many gates you hit after that. But if you give it enough tries, you should eventually get it. Last up for me to get is the second emblem of Twinkle Circuit, which if you remember from earlier, I said I did the first run badly on purpose. The reason for that is because, similar to Hedgehog Hammer, you simply need to beat the record you set for the first emblem in order to get the second emblem. And by doing as badly as you can the first time, this makes the requirement to get the second emblem unbelievably easy. Take a relaxing Sunday drive around the arena and you'll quickly bank the emblem. By having everything else done, this should be enough for you to get the achievement and be done with the minigames. With that, it's finally time for the part of the run that I was the most unfamiliar with, the Chao achievements. And little did I know that by taking on this challenge, I would be stepping into a brand new circle of hell I could have never imagined the scope of. Entering the Chao garden with Gamma, for a reason I'll specify later, I hatched the Chao from the black egg I got from the egg carrier, giving me this little guy. Let's see how well they do in their first race.
Oh yeah, this is going great. Where's mine?
Probably
I
at
don't
the
know
very
about yours.
back.
Yours is probably... Yeah, yours is trying.
Yeah, I did great!
Yeah, I figured that wasn't gonna work. Clearly, we're gonna need to train them up a little bit. In the Dreamcast version of Sonic Adventure, a Chao has 5 stats: swim, fly, run, power, and HP. Now, I'm sure you have 2 questions, those being, why am I showing you this really bland looking picture instead of picking up the Chao and showing you there? And why isn't HP in this list of stats? And hoo boy, ladies and gentlemen, you aren't ready for the answers. Firstly, the simple act of picking up a Chao in this game is a dangerous endeavor that I don't want to risk doing. Why? It's all because of that 5th stat, HP. Believe it or not, you can attack your Chao in this game, something that's fairly easy to do with every single character in the game.
It does
It
look
is
like
anything. Whoa!
Why is that allowed?
I had originally chosen Gamma because I thought that he didn't have a direct attack to hit the Chao with, unlike every other character in the game. But no! They specifically programmed a mechanic into Sonic Adventure that lets you lock on and shoot your fucking Chao! And people think Shadow the Hedgehog is edgy. At least you weren't shooting literal toddlers in that game. This simple addition makes the mere act of picking up a Chao a gamble. Because of course, the game's jank sometimes leads to you attacking the Chao instead of picking it up. And if you remember the HP stat from earlier, attacking a Chao will lower its HP, and if it hits 0, then it instantly dies with no way to get it back. Cool, that's exactly what I want in my relaxing Chao garden mode. Murder! Secondly, if you manage to win the roulette of picking up your Chao, you'll notice that it still doesn't show you their stats, or even their name for that matter. So that's wonderful. Are you supposed to just raise your Chao without knowing its stats? Well, not quite. This machine in the corner of the Chao garden, given you're able to put your Chao into it, will send your Chao into your Dreamcast Virtual Memory Unit, or VMU for short. Then, by taking the VMU out of your controller, you can use the built-in software that the game sends along with your Chao to properly see its stats and even train it. There's just one problem with that. How the fuck are you supposed to do that with an emulator? Thankfully, RetroArch, which is what I use for RetroAchievements, comes with a core that emulates VMU games. So, by loading up Chao Adventure with this, boom, there's my little guy. Just ignore the horrible noises he's making. It took me a minute to get used to the controls, but after setting it up, pressing A will open this menu, which finally lets me view my Chao stats. Then I take a look at my inventory, where I apparently start with a few life nuts? Okay, so here's a small crash course on how Chao Adventure works. Special thanks to the Chao Island website for helping give me a basic idea of the mechanics. This Chao here will walk continuously to the left, going on some kind of adventure. By using the menu, you can do several different things, such as giving your Chao a name, in which I decided to label it accordingly, and most importantly, playing this matching minigame. By completing this minigame, you get different randomly selected fruit, and eating them gives your Chao different effects. The lemon, plum, grape, and cherry raise your Chao's HP by 2, while also boosting one other stat by 4 depending on the fruit. Life nuts restore all of a Chao's HP, and Chao nuts are arguably the best fruit as they restore all of your Chao's HP and raises all their stats by 4. The rest are pretty worthless when it comes to getting the achievements, so I won't really talk about them. With all this in mind, by keeping my Chao in here for a while and playing the matching minigame over and over again, I can get enough fruit to fully restore its HP from the abuse earlier and also raise its stats enough to be able to compete in the races. So off I went, spending a good 40 or so minutes getting as much fruit as I could. Along the way, the game asked me such insightful questions as, are you a boy or a girl?
Neither.
Damn.
What?
Chao got shocked by the fact of non-binary people
That's
existing.
crazy.
What do you like?
Men.
Which one's the male logo?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's that one.
Not the Venus logo.
Owner, name,
like,
ID,
okay,
tell.
men.
You like men. I still had one more I could do.
What is your secret?
Oh my god.
What's your phone number?
My phone number is...
69696969.
Oh my god. This is his phone number, guys.
What's your phone number?
Keep in mind, this console could connect to the internet. Yikes. Anyway, after a little while of that, I closed out of Chao Adventure and went back to the game to pick up my Chao from the VMU. Upon picking the Chao up, however, it really didn't seem like much had changed about them, which I took to mean I would need to grind a lot more than I originally thought. However, upon going into the race, I saw that they weren't named either. Did something mess up? No, dear viewer, as it turns out, it was me that messed up. I wasn't actually training my Chao at all. I wasn't supposed to load a regular copy of Chao Adventure, because that on its own doesn't have the data of the Chao you put in. Instead, you have to navigate to RetroArch's system folder and load your VMU save file into the emulator. Only then will you be training your actual Chao. So that's about 40 minutes down the drain because I'm an idiot, but that's okay. Now that I know how it actually works, surely it'll just be a matter of time before I can properly raise the Chao stats enough, right? Oh, if only. But no, because now I arguably had an even bigger problem on my hands. Chao Adventure wouldn't save consistently. In the additional hour or so that I spent trying to raise my Chao stats in Chao Adventure, I only had it successfully save its new stats once. Every other time I tried to increase my stats and then restarted, any stats I gained from eating fruit would be wiped, with no clear reason as to why. What followed was probably one of the most boring stretches of streaming I've ever done, as I spent a good amount of time feverishly researching how Chao Adventure works to try and figure out how it saved your data. This was, not surprisingly, really difficult, because believe it or not, a niche part of an already niche console didn't really have a lot of documentation done on it, and thus I was left scouring webpage after webpage in a vain attempt to get any kind of answer. From what I was able to gather, the emulator that RetroArch uses for VMU games is missing a couple functions, a mode button and a sleep button. Generally, the VMU is meant to stay on all the time, and thus it only really saved the data when it was inserted back into the controller, something I obviously can't do. Now, there is another way to save, but I didn't discover this until quite a while later, and by the end of my research, I felt so out of my depth and confused that I just didn't think the VMU was worth it. So, since saving was a crapshoot for the moment, and since I don't want to pour hours and hours of my time into something that could potentially be erased, I left the VMU game behind and decided to train my Chao entirely within Sonic Adventure itself. In order to raise your Chao stats in Sonic Adventure, you're gonna need to give it a lot of animals. Every time you defeat an enemy in a level, one of these little guys pops out. Each level has a pool of 5 different animals to get, and each of them raise a certain stat by an average of 1.75 points. Here's a chart of the animals that show up in each level, courtesy once again of Chao Island. Animals with a yellow background mainly raise swim, a purple background gives fly, green gives run, and red gives power. The ones with a blue background, however, are arguably the most important and most powerful. They give a staggering 10 points to a randomly chosen stat. So if I can help it, I want to get those ones, mainly the mighty koala. So using Gamma, I go to Emerald Coast and start grabbing animals. I use Gamma because his Emerald Coast is the shortest level and will easily get me 10 animals, the max I can carry at one time without even needing to fully beat it. With the animals acquired, I go back to the Chao Garden, pick it up without any risks since the animals don't have a stupid HP stat, and start giving them to my Chao. Or at least, I try to.
I'm trying to give it to him. Give. Oh my god. How the fuck do you... This is unbelievable. This just straight up sucks. This just straight up sucks. Just give him the Chao. Or give him the animal. Dude, what the fuck? So which do I want? Do I want a broken fucking system that doesn't save half the time? Or do I want a broken fucking system that doesn't give the Chao the animal half the time? And also I can kill them.
I must again reiterate that I could just be really dense and that I was missing something. But you saw how much I was trying to shove these things into Victim's face, and it just wouldn't work after being so ungodly brain fried by the VMU mechanics. This drove me past the limits of my patience in a way no video game had accomplished before. I was just so done, you know? Begrudgingly, I instead used Sonic and ended up finding a somewhat useful strategy to get a lot of run animals and koalas. Load in, enter Twinkle Park, kill these 2 robots and then restart the level until I have 10 animals, exit out once I do, go to the Chao Garden, carefully give my Chao the animals because now it works fine, exit the Chao Garden to make sure it saves, quit to the main menu, and repeat. This would be a slow, tedious process, sure, but it was as consistent as I could manage. That was until my computer blue screened for the 3rd time this challenge. I didn't continue streaming that day. I just couldn't. After everything that went on with the VMU and the frustration with the broken Chao mechanics, I just couldn't handle the fact that on top of all that, my computer seemed to have something seriously wrong with it. I spent some time researching and figuring out exactly what was wrong with the computer. Turns out some kind of Bluetooth driver was corrupted or something, and I was able to use some Windows tools to try and fix it. As I'm writing this part of the script, I haven't quite had a chance to try streaming again to see if the problem is solved, so here's to hoping it's actually fixed. I'm looking back at that after streaming another day. Hope is such a fragile thing. All it takes is a little bit of force for it to break. The next day of streaming did start with some bright spots to it. I did eventually figure out that Gamma can give animals to a Chao by putting it down near them. It's still fucking stupid, I hated every second of having to do it, and I soon switched off of Gamma to play as an easier character, but hey, it's possible. Then, after giving the Chao some more animals, they actually started to show some promise. They placed 2nd during this race. We're actually making some good progress, right? Oh, I wish it was that easy. Past me. You have no idea how much I wish this stream didn't last 6 goddamn hours. Why might that be, you ask? Well, wouldn't you know it, after raising my stats some more, my Chao ended up doing worse in the next race. And in order to detail why, I unfortunately need to expose you to the horrors of the Chao racing system and how absolutely fucked it is for your time and commitment. Sonic Adventure has 2 different types of Chao races, the beginner races and the jewel races. Winning each of the jewel races gets you both an emblem and an achievement, so I decided to focus on those first, which turned out to be a really big mistake, but more on that later. The Chao you race against here seem to have set stats and are always evolved, which wasn't an issue since my Chao had already evolved. The problem is that not only is it not really clear exactly what the opponent's stats are, but each race is heavily dependent on luck. Randomly, evolved Chao have a chance to either trip, stop running and just stand there doing fucking nothing, or falling asleep. If any of these things happen too many times, or even at just the wrong time, you're better off just restarting and trying again, because you won't win. Not only that, but there are some mechanics to these Chao races that I think, with no exaggeration, might be some of the worst design decisions I've ever experienced in a video game. During a race, each Chao that participates has a random chance of getting these sparkles around them, and your camera will automatically switch to the Chao it happens to. If you press the A button when any of these Chao have sparkles, you will cheer that Chao on regardless of who it is, and it will get a speed boost. Let me repeat that. Even if that Chao is your fucking opponent, pressing A when it sparkles will give that Chao a speed boost and increase the chances that you lose. So if you take into account that the game has mechanics in place that actively work against you, and combine it with the fact that even after several koalas were shoved down my Chao's throat, it's still inconsistently doing better in some races and worse in others, with no clear pattern as to why, I think you can see just what breed of awfulness I've stepped into. Over the course of an hour and a half, the Chao race cycle continued. Try the races, fail, give my Chao animals. Try the races, fail, give my Chao animals. Try the races, fail, watch my Chao glitch out as I try to give them animals. Until finally, a breakthrough. My Chao finally won their first race, and I got the Shining Pearl achievement. All it took was 2 streams and 5 hours. And what do you know, I tried a couple other races and couldn't even win those ones, so fuck me, here we go again. I should note that at some point today, I did end up going back into Chao Adventure just to check my stats, and they were honestly pretty high. Just the fact that I've spent this long giving my Chao animals and it still isn't consistently winning should absolutely horrify you. I also eventually figured out how exactly Chao Adventure saves. Your Chao has to actually complete an adventure, which I could do in about 20 minutes with speed up. But the stat gains from this mode are so slow compared to just giving animals that I didn't even bother. So after another hour of getting more animals, this time focusing a little more on swim, I eventually won the Ruby race and got the Omega Ruby achievement. Then after giving my Chao some more run animals, I'm finally able to win one of the longer races. Okay, now after a few more attempts, I'm finally able to... Okay, surely after a few more attempts...
Trip again, trip again, trip again.
Oh my god. Over the finish line.
Imagine being perpetually stuck in a loop of being so close to victory, of almost being free of something that is actively making your mental health worse, only to have it snagged from you right at the last possible fucking second. I know I could just stop at any moment, that I could just call it a day and quit streaming without finishing it if it got bad enough, but I just wanted Chao to be done and over with as soon as possible, and the longer I streamed it and kept working towards it, the sooner I could potentially get it done. And luckily, a few minutes after that last loss, I did actually win this time and get the glowing amethyst achievement. Then immediately after, I tried the next race and won on my first try, getting me the Alpha Sapphire achievement. Cool, so that means that I've now unlocked the last race, the Emerald race, which I will try to attempt right now. Wait, where is it? Where's my Emerald race? As it turns out, I didn't research the actual requirements for the Emerald race to unlock and thought I just needed to beat all the Jewel races. No, you need to beat all the Jewel and beginner races. So you'd think that after finally beating all of these harder races, that going through the beginner races would be an absolute cakewalk in comparison, right? Right?
All right, it's time to fucking demolish the competition. What's up, Knight?
Oh, you sweet, ignorant summer child. If only you knew how fucking wrong you were! My Chao did not, in fact, demolish the competition. Quite the opposite, actually. My Chao kept getting fucking curb stomped! But how? My Chao is at a point now where it can somewhat consistently win the harder races. Why are they suddenly struggling here? Well, my dear, dear viewer, Sonic Adventure's Chao Garden has one more mechanic for you that single-handedly fucks you over if you decide to do the Jewel races first. In a move that genuinely puts basic design principles into question, your opponents in the beginner races seemingly have stats that scale. Depending on how far in its lifespan your Chao is, and I think what stats it has, the Chao in the beginner race will get a significant boost to all of their stats, to the point where it is now nearly fucking impossible for Victim to win. Believe me, I tried many times. While Victim was able to win the Pearl course, trust me when I say that was an utter fluke, because any other time the other Chao were simply too fast and my Chao is simply too clumsy to be able to go the whole race without tripping or falling asleep or standing around thinking about their role in our infinite universe. And then I tried a different Chao, one that hadn't evolved, and one that I hadn't put any amount of training into. Yep, you're seeing this right. My opponents are now pathetic. The only way I could reasonably win the beginner races was to discard my trained, capable Chao and use one of the newborn Chao that hasn't been trained even a little bit. Imagine the implications that has. In the beginner races, you are punished for raising your Chao with love and care, and the bare minimum is rewarded. This system is a fucking joke, and I really mean that. I don't think I've encountered any other video games whose systems are so antithetical to fun that the first races get harder the more experience you have. And I'll admit, part of this is my fault. I went into this barely doing any kind of research and just expecting to be able to throw a bunch of animals at my Chao until it can win. But the thing is, the systems in future games were robust enough that throwing animals at my Chao was not only a valid strategy, but one that actually gave feedback and let you know that you were actually making progress. Here, everything meshes together so poorly that I wasted hours properly raising a Chao, only for it to be thrown back in my face because I apparently did it wrong without being told what the correct way was. I think it says a lot about the Chao system as a whole that even in the improved system in the modern ports of Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, a good majority of people play the Chao Garden nowadays making use of a glitch that make their animals have infinite uses, because otherwise the grind would just take too ungodly long. This entire trudge through the Chao Garden has been nothing but a huge slog with only a few bright spots in between, and I sincerely hope that if some kind of Chao Garden spin-off is made, this kind of grindy shit is stamped out for good. So, with all that in mind, I played the hand I was dealt. I put my untrained Chao into the races over and over and over again, simply because they had a better chance of winning. I did this for another hour and a half. An hour and a half of watching as the last of my sanity slipped away. That's not to say there weren't some bright spots. The triumph never lasted long, though. That was my limit. In a jaded, exhausted frustration, I shut the stream off again. It was clear I needed a hero, and that hero was gonna have to be a new Chao. I spent some time at the beginning of the next stream raising up one of my other Chao until they evolved. I made sure not to give them any animals if I could help it, just in case the stats mattered and how my opponent's stats scaled. It didn't take long for them to evolve, and for me to finally take them for a spin. What happened next finally showed me the light at the end of this dark tunnel. This was a journey. For as much shit as I've slung in this video, I'm sorry if it got a bit overwhelming, this was still a fun set. If I could give some constructive criticism though, I would say it still needs more. Out of the 100 achievements in this set, I counted around 82 of them that most people would get just by 100%ing the game, give or take a few that could be debated. This may be just my personal preference after doing this a few times now, but the sets that stand out to me are ones that add a little extra, put in some more quirky challenges that aren't required for anything other than an achievement. Think Sonic Heroes and all of the challenges they had in their set, or Sonic Adventure 2 that looks like it has something similar at a glance. I'd say this set could use some more out-of-the-way achievements, similar to Hammerfall or Battery Fully Charged. But either way, this was still a lot of fun. Shoutouts to Galactic Spear and Slash Tangent for the set. After all that, as well as this video being delayed several times due to possible depression and holiday shit, all that fun stuff, I can't really be bothered to give a proper outro. So I'll leave you all with this. Thanks for watching. The link to my Ko-Fi will be in the description if you want to support what I do. The Chao Garden in Sonic Adventure on the Dreamcast sucks ass, and the future games did well to improve on all its terrible shortcomings. And I'll see you guys next time.